you need to take the actions on the defined legal requirements which are applicable to these standards. For example, in case of environment, we have the requirements from presidency and meteorological department. We have if you are working in the surrounding of RC Royal Commission, you will have some requirements from Royal Commission as well. If you are working with any of your clients, they have their requirements. If you are working in industrial area, so in terms of safety, we have the modern requirement, we have the Falmandi civil defense requirement. We also have the requirement from MSLD, Ministry of Social and Labor Development. So only to identify these requirements is not enough. What we need to do, we need to produce a legal register. So these are only the law's name, but the whole law is not applicable to each company. We need to take out our relevant clauses, and then we need to write that how we are going to take the actions. So this exercise, inshallah, we will do it tomorrow, that how we are going to produce the legal register, right? Similarly, tomorrow we will also do the exercise for what do you call it? What are the issues we are going to discuss with the workers meeting participation as a part of participation. So today, let's start with our workshop. We need to finish at least 2 workshops today. Mostly the workshops are focusing on the standards. So the first workshop is about what you need to do in the group. You need to read the standard, take out the copies of a standard, ISO 14,000 and 45,000. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So what we need to do is, first thing, we need to have 2 things in this workshop. The first thing, we need to identify those clauses which have shall requirement, which means the mandatory. Whenever, remember we discussed before that whenever we have the shall, which means mandatory. Whenever we have can, which means it is recommended, but not the mandatory. Whenever we have may in the standard or in the clause, which means that optional. If you want to do it, if you do it. If you don't want to do it, no need for it. Whenever you have the note is only the description of the clause, right? It is not a mandatory requirement. It is not a recommend. Sometimes recommendation is included in the note, but note cannot be a mandatory requirement. So all the mandatory requirements, if it is needed by means of document, written by means of interview, by means of signage, by means of poster, these are all our documented requirements. So these will be with shall. So what we need to do, we need to find out those requirements in the standard which are having shall. So at least we can have 2 benefits of this workshop. The first benefit, that we will read the clauses in the standard itself. And the second thing, what we need to do, for example, when you are going to apply these clauses in your company, what document are you going to establish, right? When we say document is one kind of evidence. Maybe you will say that for this clause, we will make the awareness to our people. Maybe you will say that we will post a signage for this clause. We will do a training for this clause, right? So evidence means how you are going to demonstrate that you are following this requirement. For example, you are an implementer, because still we have not started the auditing side. Otherwise, I would ask you to do the audit of these clauses. So this, inshallah, we will do it tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So what we need to do now, we need to identify the shall requirements in the clauses. And the second part is, we need to develop, or we need to demonstrate that what documents or evidence we are going to develop or we are going to have in order to show that we are compliant with this requirement. Just write the name, right? For example, you will say maybe that we will develop the quality policy, and this quality policy signed by top management, objective and planning signed by the top management, right? Maybe you will say that I will develop the procedure for documented requirement. We will do the risk assessment activity, right? Environmental aspect impact activity. So these are some of the requirements which you will find that these are with the shall. So you need to give us the idea. We are not here to discuss the methodology, right? That how you are going to do the risk assessment, how you are going to do the aspect impact. But in this workshop, we want to know that what are the documents or the evidences would you like to develop in order to show that you are compliant with these requirements. Clear? Yes, guys.
Inshallah.
Any question? Omar, Fa'il,
Now it's clear, Mr. Hans.
Bandar, Paul,
It's
Waqar.
clear.
Yes.
Yeah, clear.
Good, good. So now I will be dividing you guys into 3 groups. So group number 1 will be working for 4-5 clause, which include the sub clauses as well. Group number 2 will work on 6 and 7 clause, and group number 8 will work on group number 3 will work on clause number 8, right? So we will have
We will work with ISO 40001.
both standards, 14,001 and 45,001. Okay, so for example, if you are 4 guys in a group, 2 of you can start reading 14,000 standard and 2 of you can start reading 45,000 standard. Okay, and if you are 1 guy or if you are less than 4, no problem, still you can divide yourself. Minimum you will be 3 in 1 group. Okay, guys, clear?
Meters from the boundaries of the organization, away from the boundaries. So you could not cover it. You could not put the time.
What will be the impact if this requirement is not being followed? Is there any impact on health and safety or the environment or what?
It will be with regards. I think it will be from. It will impact on the environment, I think.
Oh,
What, model or what?
Will be impact on health and safety.
how?
How? Because I remember in OSHA that you should have the aisles and passageways to be clean and according to the standard. In case of fire, that fire trucks can. Know what I mean? I can't explain it.
Okay, it's okay, no problem. I can understand that if the trucks and the transport is going from outside, they can impact on the people and as well as they can impact on the environment of the company, which may cause the indoor air quality monitoring problems. Okay, very good, excellent. Next
Mr.
group.
Anas, just
Yes.
I have a question, please. In
Yes,
Saudi labors, you said that we should cover both environment and safety.
No, I
it
didn't
needs-
say this. I didn't say that in Saudi labor. Saudi labor more focusing on safety only, no environment.
We told us that we should, for example, people or workers should not work much than 48 hours in weeks. We should mention it in
Yes,
the,
yes. Tomorrow, inshallah, tomorrow we will be working on this legal requirement. I will show you one sample that how we are going to mention the requirements. Don't worry about this. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, next group. Next group.
Ali, please share the screen.
Ali, MCOFORT. Now, whenever I will go to Yambo, I will see MCOFORT. During last 2-3 courses, I have heard this name too many times. He is doing marketing for his own company. Yes, guys. Who is going to speak?
Ali, are you explaining?
Mr. Waqar, you speak? Or Ali?
Actually, our scope was to prepare the policy of an organization. So, Mr. Ali chosen his company and Comfort, and we have written the policy of this one.
More louder, Mr. Waqar, please.
I will just add a simple, I will just add one point here. See, like Mr. Waqar told that our assignment was to prepare the policy of a company, right? So when we are dealing with standards, we need to use the terminologies which are in standard. So you can say, I mean, this is okay. You prepare this, but you can say like our assignment was to establish the MCOFERT HSE policy or IMS policy like that, because
Right.
standard says you need to establish, implement, and maintain. So it's better to use those terminologies which are in a standard. Okay, let's continue.
Right. We are manufacturing NPK fertilizers, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium fertilizers in powder, liquid, and paste forms. We strive to apply the requirements of environmental and OH&S requirement to avoid the risk occurs by our operation and products.
Very good.
Number one, we are committed to implement environmental and OH&S management system to our organization. Number two, we are committed to comply with the legal requirements and with the expectation of external and internal customers or parties. Number three, provide adequate work condition, trainings, and communication system to ensure the awareness of our employees. Number four, drive a continual improvement to achieve our strategic objectives. Number five, deliver the policy among our internal and external interested customer or parties. This is approved by the competent authority, and we will document with this with our
Your GM.
standard.
Okay. My question that
There is no issue. There is no issue in this policy, Mr.
I'm going to ask you, the issue I'm going to ask you. The thing is,
Yeah.
in this policy, from where I can get the idea that as required by the environmental clause of policy, that we need to have the commitment available for the protection of environment.
You can please repeat the question. I didn't get to this the question.
If you can open 14,000 standard policy clause.
5.2.
Yes. Share the screen.
Oh, wait. Can you see it now?
Yes. This is health and safety. I need
Yes.
14,000.
Where is it?
Yes.
Oh, there is it.
So you can see in the policy, it's clearly written that includes a commitment for the protection of environment, including prevention of pollution and other specific commitments relevant to the context of the organization.
Okay.
So from
If
where
you
I
see
can
the
get this
first point-
idea that,
If you see the first point, we have written, it is not actually this one, but it is covering somehow this one. We are committed to implement environmental and OHS management system to our organization.
no, this is a very generic requirement, which means that you have to implement all the requirements of a standard. This is a mandatory requirement. The policy clause does not require you to have this commitment, by the way. But it's okay if you have written, I have no concern on this thing. But when we are doing the audits, when we are going to develop the policy for our company, we have to read line by line, and then we have to apply this on our policy, right? So prevention of pollution is not mentioned. Now just open the 45,000 standard. Now where is the commitment to include consultation and participation of workers in your policy?
It's here. Communication system.
See, our employees are a very generic word. That's why this is the main, remember I told you that the main difference between the old standard and the new standard, that it talks clearly about the participation of workers. Workers means non-management staff. When you say employees, employees means all.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to write, we make sure awareness, not only the awareness, consultation of our workers. If you see again, show the standard, again see the requirement.
Right. Yes.
See, commitment for include a commitment to consultation and participation of workers. Awareness is another thing.
Right, you are right.
You can do the awareness by providing the training, but where is the participation of workers? How you are going to ask them? How you are going to take their feedback on the health and safety issues? We need to include.
Okay.
But overall it is okay. Now the second question was in the policy that how you are going to communicate this policy to the interested parties. How?
Deliver the
we-
policy. Deliver the policy. The last thing. Deliver the policy among our interested party.
Okay, you will just go and deliver to them, right?
No, no, no.
We
With
can
no.
make it on our website or publish it
Forward.
on.
Very
Post,
good.
email, posters, yes.
Very good.
Any tools,
Posters,
yes.
awareness session by email
Email.
to your interested parties on website.
Yes, and
Very good.
website.
Very good.
Trainings,
Anyone-
yeah, about it.
Sir, we have put it in the policy. How can I deliver our
Yeah,
policy?
you can add this point, no problem, but it is not necessary to put as a part of the policy. But if you want to add this, no problem.
Okay.
Yes, guys. Any other question with their group? Very good. Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you.
But the one thing which I still feel that a bit some, you can say 10% weakness to have this policy. If I remove the name of EMCOFERT, right, and I remove the first line, I can apply the same policy to refinery as well.
Of course, we take it as generic because we don't have much time to go on specific details.
This is why what I'm saying, that whenever you are working in actual in your company, you need to focus that the context of your organization, right?
Okay,
Otherwise, the same policy can be applied to any of the organization, because the
I will
commitments are same.
this is my health and safety policy that I use in my
Okay.
provide adequate control for health and safety, consult with our employees no matter affecting their health and safety, provide maintain safe plant and equipment, ensure safe handling and use of raw materials, provide information, instruction and supervision for employees. All employees are competent to do their job. This is in details.
Good.
I have took time, a good time to write this one.
Very good. Okay. Next group number 3. Very good. Good policy. Mashallah.
Okay. Good
Yeah.
evening, everyone. So we have picked out the major from this clause, for example, the objective. Our goal is the objective. So we should take into account the significant environment aspect and the compliance obligation and considering the risk and opportunities. And the objective should be consistent with the policy, measurable, monitored, communicated, and updated. And for safety, we should take into account result of the assessment of risk and opportunity and the results of consultation with workers, okay? And we should keep and maintain documented information. So we have filled, we have a form. We have filled this form.
Okay.
Where is this form? Where is this form?
It's lost.
Yeah, I think I deleted. No, wait. Come on. It's a table, come on. Okay, let objective. Okay. Yeah, now it appears. I can see it in sharing now. So we have picked up 3 objectives. First thing, it's about the environment aspect and impact. The company must identify and address all its environmental aspects and impact during all its activity phases during design, construction, operation. Example, this is like a goal. Now, to be specific, example, to reduce the consumption of natural resources, water, for example, by 10% by the end of the year. So the steps that we will follow are quantify the monthly current water consumption from all activities, establish a procedure or work instruction about minimizing water consumption, and start trying to give awareness for all employees in production department. This target will be met, inshallah, in 2020. How and when to monitor? We will pick up measurement from water gauge every 3 months, for example, amount of the water bill every 3 months also. To monitor this, the responsible are the HSEQ responsible and the utility managers. So we reduce by 2% for first quarter, or we have reduced it for 2%, second quarter 5%, and inshallah we wish to meet this 10% goal. For the second objective, let me just use this. The company should identify and comply to all applicable statutory and legal environmental and occupational health and safety regulation. as an objective, reduce the emission of NOx to meet GAMAP limits 500 ppm by the end of the year. So we will use, for example, testing of stack emissions, and we can install GFD and ultra NOx burner to reduce this emission. The target date is by the end of this year. We will we will use, for example, a third-party environment company that is GAMAP approved to test the stack. This will be done by 26/2020. The responsible are the HSEQ responsible operation department manager. So our objective first quarter, let's say we are now 1,200 ppm, we will reach 1,000, first quarter 800, 700, and by the end of the year we will meet the regulation, which is 500 ppm. The third objective, let's say goal first, the company must identify, estimate, evaluate, control, and review all its risks and opportunities from all activities. As an objective, reduce the noise level in turbine area to meet OSHA regulation 85 decibel A, and protect our employees. Okay, we will test the noise area level around turbine area. We will post warning sign to mandatory wear earplugs when entering the turbine building, and convince the stakeholder about buying engineering control solution to isolate the turbines. So for testing, it will be done on 36/2020. For the wearing sign, we will buy them by 5/6/2020, and to convince the stakeholder to buy engineering control, it will be done by the end of this year. So how it will be done? So third-party environment approved noise testing company, and we provide all employees with earplugs before this date. The responsible is the HSEQ responsible, operation department manager, maintenance department manager, and the stakeholder. By the first quarter, we will meet 100 decibel, second quarter 95, 90, and by the end of this year, inshallah, we'll meet the regulation 85 decibel. Okay.
Very good.
That's it.
Excellent. Excellent. Any question, guys? This seems to be very, practical. You took long time, but the outcome is very good. Yes, guys.
Yeah,
any
I keep
question?
more time for infrastructure first.
Yeah, which is good. We need to have a strong planning so we can do the activity, right? Which is the right way. Sometime when I'm working on developing new training, it took me 2-3 days just to make the sketch in my mind, and it took 1 or 2 hours just to put on the PowerPoint. So planning is the
start
most
always difficult. Yeah.
very good. Yes, guys.